What are family investment companies? How can you use them to pass wealth to your family without paying inheritance tax? And how do you set one up? I'm Malcolm Zoppi, an English qualified solicitor, and in this video, we'll discuss family investment companies. We'll go over three main things. First, what are family investment companies and how are they structured? Second, what are the potential inheritance tax advantages of using a family investment company? And lastly, how do you set one up? Fantastic, let's get started. Chapter 1, what are family investment companies? In short, family investment companies are usually the normal, familiar limited company that is registered at company's house, but their main purpose is to hold family assets and pass these on to the next generations. So what makes family investment companies different to your standard limited company is their clever use of different classes of shares. So in short, family investment companies have different classes of shares. For example, one type for the founders, let's call them the parents, and another class for the children. Now, the ones for the children typically carry the monetary value of the limited company, whilst the ones for the parents carry the control, the right to vote on important matters. Now, it's important to note that share classes and family investment companies overall can be created completely bespoke to a client's requirements. There's no set way that family investment companies must be or must follow. Fantastic. Let's move on to chapter 2, which is what are the potential inheritance tax advantages of using family investment companies. So usually the second class of shares for the children is gifted by the parents to the children. If the parents survive for at least 7 years from the gift, then typically the gift would escape inheritance tax liability. It would not form part of the estate when calculating inheritance tax. Now, the main advantage of using a family investment company outside of the potential inheritance tax advantages is that the parents, so the founders of the company, can retain control of the company, the assets held by the company, and how those assets are to be managed and invested. This is unlike trusts because, like the word implies, the parents or the founders of that trust need to trust someone else to manage the trust for them. That person cannot be the parents who created the trust, and they cannot be the children who benefit from the trust. Instead, with a limited company, the parents can remain shareholders, carrying the right to vote, and can also remain the directors, making decisions on behalf of the company. Now, before we discuss how to set up a family investment company, feel free to email me if looking for professional legal advice. With our legal advice calls, there are no charges, no obligations, and no nonsense. Contact me now at info@zoppi.co.uk. Fantastic. So let's move on to chapter 3. How do you set up a family investment company? Well, first, as a disclaimer, you should always seek specialist tax advice that is going to be tailored to you and your situation. Although I am a corporate solicitor and often do this for my clients, I do not specialize in tax matters specifically. I typically work alongside a tax advisor of the client. So on how do you set one up, it's fairly simple. You would incorporate the limited company as you would incorporate any other entity at company's house by following the questionnaire online, for example. And typically you would upload bespoke articles of association that create the different classes of shares. And then depending on the tax advice that you've received from your advisor, you would either receive the shares yourself as the parent and then gift a class of the shares to your children, or immediately give shares to your children. That is going to be subject to the advice that you're going to receive. Now, until now, we've assumed that you're going to be setting up a new limited company to be designated as a family investment company. But it's very possible that you already own and operate a limited company that holds family assets like properties. So in this case, you'll simply need to, again, adopt bespoke articles of association. Typically, this is done by passing a special resolution, so you'll need at least 75% of the voting rights. And those articles of association would detail the different classes of shares and the economic rights that are attached to each class of shares, if any. You will then need to create or issue these shares and gift them, for example, to your children. If you'd like us to draft your articles of association, contact me now at info@zoppi.co.uk. If you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I promise I will answer them. If you want to find out a little bit more about the kind of taxes that you might need to pay when you sell your limited company, watch this video right here. Thank you for watching.